Join the mortgage expert Heath Barnes as he equips loan officers and real estate agents with innovative ideas and tools so you can adapt to the changing environments in the marketplace. Be inspired by stories from some of the top professionals in the mortgage world today as they reveal their secrets of what made them successful while gaining knowledge and insight about how they continue their success regardless of the market conditions. Find out how to build a team and scale your business. Get ready to be more productive while working fewer hours. Here is your host, Heath Barnes.
Welcome to Mortgages Reimagined. I'm your host, Heath Barnes, and today is a special day because today would be my very first solo episode on Mortgages Reimagined. And so today, one of the reasons I want to do this episode is because my wife and I decided earlier this year to embark upon a journey that has been more than exciting, but it's been a learning experience for both my wife and I. We decided to take on an exchange student. Today's episode, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what are the lessons she has taught us in the last 5 weeks since she's been with us. And so thanks for tuning in. I hope that you get as much out of this episode as I am getting out of just sharing my journey with Beatrice, or Bea, as they would say, Beatrice, Beatrice in Italian. So about, I guess it's a year ago now, my wife decided that she and I could use a little bit more excitement in our life by taking on an exchange students. And for those of you that don't know, my wife and I, we've been married for about 18 years. She and I met on Match.com back when only desperate people got online to meet people. Now it's a fad, but in 2002, I logged on to Match.com and met my wife. And 2 years later, she and I were married. It's been a wonderful journey ever since, and we've been married now for 17 years. And what's ironic about this whole experience is I'm generally the one that comes up with these adventures or ideas in which we embark upon, but this was her idea, and I give her all the credit. And at the time, for a successful marriage, I've learned when your wife comes up with an idea, you always go along with it. Or at least I've learned to go along with it. And I'm glad I've gone along with it. So she submitted the application a year ago, and we began talking seriously about it in the winter of last year. And by the end of the school year, we logged online and figured out several students from Italy that we were willing to take on. And my wife, being half Italian, wanted to find an Italian exchange student. And we were chosen and matched in June and began hosting Zoom calls with Bea and her family. And they're from a small town in Italy called Treviso. Treviso is a little bit north of Venice in the Dolomite region. And, from the very first phone call, wow. I mean, I just knew it was going to be amazing for us and for her as well. And just the very first phone call, I literally got done with the phone call and became emotional because I began to think about the impact that my wife and I could have on this 17-year-old female from Italy in her life. And we were every week for about 6 weeks, we would do these Zoom calls. And what was ironic is how little she would say on the Zoom call. It was mainly Bea's parents and I talking. And so we knew we're going to be hosting the 17-year-old from Italy who's rather shy. And my wife saw so many traits about this young lady and herself. It's interesting. She and I, my wife and I, both live in a world in which we believe that what we call source things that are happening in your life, and meaning, you know, we're attracting the people in our life that should be in our life. And just like we attracted Bea. And so we finally got a date when she was going to arrive, which was August 10th. And my wife spent time putting together this amazing sign. And we waited literally 5 hours at the airport as she came off the airplane into baggage claim and walked up to us and said hello. And I looked at this 17-year-old girl who had these $600 tennis shoes on. I was thinking she must be from a nice family. On our entire drive home, I don't think she said more than 3 words. And I continued to ask her question, and I was literally worried about whether or not she even knew English or not. And I remember talking to my wife that night thinking, babe, I think we might be in trouble. I think we might have somebody that actually maybe wasn't as honest as she should have been on the application. I'm not so sure she really knows English, but she does. And it's now been 6 weeks, and every week we are learning something new, and we've gotten into a great routine, and it's just been an adventure. And for those of you who have never had an exchange student, I endorse it 100%. I've had many friends that have been exchange students, and every one of them talk about the amazing experience someone gets to experience in another country, learning a new language, introduced to a new family. Yeah, so I just totally endorse having an exchange student. So, but part of the one of the reasons I'm telling you all this is I'm leading up to like the lessons that I'm learning about myself, the lessons I'm learning about people, the lessons I'm learning about my marriage with my wife, and how bringing another person into your life, she just brings us so much joy. And it's so, for me, it's very ironic how you can love another human being that you don't even know, that you don't even like it's just, I yeah, I understand how someone can adopt someone now and you love them like they're your own child. So after about 3 weeks of us dragging words out of her, this is about maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, my wife and I were driving down to League City with Bea in the back seat. We live about an hour away from League City here in Houston, Texas. And on that drive, I remember at the beginning of the drive thinking, yeah, I'm going to make this an impactful drive. Just thinking, okay, I'm not going to make it an impactful drive. I'm going to do something impactful. And I remember at the beginning of the drive asking her questions. And if you don't know me, I enjoy asking questions, which is one of the reasons why I have a podcast. But on the drive, I told Bea, I said, listen, I want to share with you something that my parents didn't teach me, and they didn't teach me probably because they didn't know it. And I didn't learn it until later on in life. And that is to get someone to like you, to get someone to make friends, all you have to do is be interested in them. All you have to do is show them that you like them. And you do that by asking them questions. And so I explained that to her, and I said, on our drive to League City, what we're going to do is each of us are going to ask each other a question. And I don't even remember what question I asked Bea, but it came around to her turn. And the first question she asked me is, she said, she didn't say my name at the time, but she said, are you going, in her broken English, she said, are you going to miss me in 9 months? And man, I just literally, I mean, almost, it's kind of chokes me up now I'm thinking about it, but just the thought behind that question, are you going to miss me in 9 months? And my response to her is I said, I have already thought about it in the short time that you and I have been together, about you not being here any longer. I said, for sure, I'm going to miss you. I said, but the beauty of this coming to an end means that we get to appreciate every moment together and understanding that this is a short time in your life and we're here to make an impact. And the rest of the drive was spent asking each other questions, but it's the one question that really had a major impact on my life. And at that moment, and we went down and went to the pool party, and this young, shy girl from Italy started to open up. And over the last, I don't know, it's been now 6 weeks since she's been with us. Every week she talks a little bit more and talks a little bit more. And my wife and I have worked into this routine now this week where we come home. I usually get home around 5 o'clock. My wife's cooking dinner and I'll play the piano while Bea does her homework, and then we'll eat dinner and we play 5 to 6 games of Uno. And then we spend 30 to 45 minutes learning new Italian words, learning new English words. And now what we're having her do is speak a minute longer every time. And we ask her a question and she comes up with the answer. And I don't know if any of you listening have ever if you have experience with a shy person, but I'm going to share with you really the 3 things that I have learned in the last 6 weeks and what she has taught me about people, what she's taught me about that I can apply to my marriage, to other people, to my employees. So, lesson number one, people need praise, especially when they're struggling. People need praise even when they're struggling, especially when they're struggling. So as I watch Bea and I observe her shyness and unwillingness to put herself out there, my tendency is to push her, is to make her do something. And you can't make anyone do anything. And what I have learned is that the more I praise her, even like the really little things, the little short time that she speaks, the more she opens up. And I know I've heard that in the past, but it's really important if you've got somebody in your life who is struggling with something. The more we can focus on and praise those little things that they do, the more likely it is that they are going to do more of it. And I even notice it with my wife. Like whenever I get some type of praise from her, I notice I am more inclined to want to do that than when I am critical. And I am aware of that and have become even more aware of it. So remember, praise always will help that person who is struggling. Number 2, people need patience. People need patience. We're all on our own journey, and having Bea in our house has really taught me that patience is important. And when you add praise to the patience and you allow her on her own journey to continue to work through her shyness and work through the comfort of being around people, it will come out. She will go, we all think, at least me, I say we all, I want to control, I want to tell, I want to do all of these things that I think are best for her. And what I have learned is to be patient with her and allow her to be on her own journey. And through that patience, that's rolling over into my job at work every day. I've most all of you know I do mortgages, and just being patient with my employees and praising them, I am finding out is the key to getting more out of people, So, and then the last point that I have learned, um, is people need your presence. People need your presence. And when I say presence, I'm not talking about just being there with them. I'm talking about being there with them in the moment and listening to what they're saying. A good friend of mine was on a podcast a few episodes ago. If you haven't listened to it, oh man, I would highly suggest listening to it. His name is Todd Musselman. And Todd's got an interesting story, but he said something that was profound uh, about presence. He says, presence is the portal to everything that is meaningful in life. I'll say it again. Presence is the portal to everything that is meaningful in life. And he went on to say, I hope I get it right. He said, I have never in my entire life had a meaningful event happen which I wasn't present. He's never had think about that. Have you ever had a meaningful event in your life in which you weren't there in the moment with the person that you were with? It's like your buddy calls up, hey, yeah, listen, man, I just had this amazing experience with my wife in which we were both completely distracted. Our minds were on something else, but we had this amazing conversation, was totally connected. No, that doesn't happen. Or, yeah, man, I just had this amazing bike ride in which I was like totally stressed out about something else. No, that didn't happen. But um, it's someone with ADHD, as I have, always wanting to do, slowing down when I get home and being in the moment and just being present to what's happening in the conversation is what's bringing out this little human being. It's bringing out this confidence in this shy girl from Italy. I wonder, it's like in life, we all are on our own journey, and we all have been created through these events and the people that we're around in our life. And I think about that with her, like what created this super shy girl from Italy that's scared to speak. And so far what I've come up with is it's the fear of judgment, that someone's going to judge her for not speaking correctly, correct English. And I asked her recently, I said, so I'm curious, when you hear me speak Italian and it's not correct, what do you think about what I'm saying? Like, if I'm funny thing is I've had the toughest time learning to say good afternoon in Italian. So I don't know if I can think of it right now, but I think it's buon pomeriggio. Buon pomeriggio is good afternoon in Italian. And it's so funny, every day I get home and she will say good afternoon, and I get to say buon pomeriggio, and I for weeks could not say it correctly. And she would laugh and look at me, and I'd always ask for help. But I asked her, I said, how does it make you feel when I don't get it right? do you feel more connected or less connected, or do you want, how do you feel? And, she said, no, I don't, when you don't get it right, I don't judge you or don't think badly of you. And I said, well, that's what we want you to realize. That's what we want you to realize, is that you're not judged by us or anyone else. And it's a great lesson for people that are listening, for those of you who are scared to do something in life because you're going to be judged by someone else. Often people are more thinking more about themselves than they are about you. And when you are willing to put yourself out there and you're willing to make a mistake and get it wrong, you become more human. And I think that's what we need more of in the world. So anyways, this is my first solo episode. I will continue to come on and talk about Bea and what I'm learning about her. I hope y'all tune in. I hope it's beneficial for you. I hope you're hearing the lessons that are coming about. I'd love to hear back from you. Anyone that has any advice on someone who is, you've had experience with someone who is shy, but it's been an amazing experience. I totally endorse it. If I can help anyone put you in touch with someone who could give you more information. I think the Rotary Club, we're using an organization called AYA here in Houston, and there are about 17 exchange students. Most high schools take 5 to 7 exchange students every year, so there's always opportunity. So anyways, I thank y'all for tuning in. I thank you for being an audience and listening. I hope it's been impactful. And I look forward to another episode with you on Mortgages Reimagined.
Thank you for listening today. Hopefully this discussion inspires you by providing new tools to shape your business so you can become a more innovative and cutting-edge professional in the mortgage space. Join Heath in more conversations with the industry's top leaders by subscribing to the podcast at www.heathbarnes.com. That's www.heathbarnes.com.